Father in heaven, we come now.
Line unmuted.
We come now, thank you for life, health, and strength. We come blessing your name because your name worthy to be blessed. Father, we come to do the business of the county. Let us be guided by your wisdom, your strength. And Father, whatever we do, it's not about us, but it is about you. It's about those that we serve. We thank you for what you're going to do. Bless your holy name now. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, I must say we thank you all for coming. But before we start our meeting, we always have a few tidbits we'd like to share with you. And one is, this is a conference line has been set up. And the number is 1-917-900-1022. The access code is 32347 #. This is not a toll-free number, and you may be charged according to substitute your long distance plan. When the chairperson opens the meeting for public comments, please follow the below instructions. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and talk to the commission. Okay? The moderator will unmute your line when it's your turn to speak. And you have 3 minutes to speak. And each commenter may speak only 3 minutes and 1 time per item. Okay? So, with that being said, do I hear a motion that we accept?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Okay, we go to consent item. Is there anything on the consent agenda that we need to pull off and talk about?
Motion to approve.
Motion second, we approve the consent agenda. With that being said, we go to number 13 on the agenda. Bids/public hearing. Board to hold a public hearing set for this date at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter to consider the adoption of proposed amended and restated final assessment resolution for the collection of disposal and solid waste in the unincorporated area of Taylor County for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2022.
Motion to read the resolution by title only.
Motion second, Mr. Bishop, title only.
It's a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Taylor County, Florida, relating to the collection and disposal of solid waste and recovered materials within the unincorporated area of Taylor County, establishing a rate of assessment, imposing solid waste service assessment against residential property located in the unincorporated area of Taylor County, approving the solid waste service assessment roll, confirming the amended and restated initial assessment resolution, providing for severability and effective date.
Thank you.
The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to set the final assessment amount by resolution for the collection and disposal of solid waste for Taylor County. The submitted budget for solid waste is currently at a deficit of $317,000. The budgeted increases are $32,858 for personal services, $141,942 for fuel, $20,000 for repair and maintenance of automobiles, $1,196 for insurance, $80,000 for tipping fees, and $2,700 for general operating expenses. These are due to increased projected costs. Solid waste reserves are depleted due to transfers for tipping fees over the last 6 years. The notice rates for the solid waste assessment program is for fiscal year 22-23 is a rate of $210 per dwelling unit, which will generate $1,957,266. Future fiscal year maximum rate without further notice is $228 per dwelling unit. So for next fiscal year, the maximum rate that you can levy is $210 per dwelling unit.
Okay. 220 what?
The maximum that you can assess is $210 for next fiscal year. Now, you can go lower, that's the maximum. And the maximum you can assess in future years without further notice is $228. You were provided with two scenarios. One was to use 1 cent sales tax for capital costs, and the other was without 1 cent sales tax for capital costs.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do this one. Capital cost, what is capital cost?
So that would be vehicle leases, equipment, containers, things like that for solid waste. And we are currently using 1 cent sales tax for those type of costs.
And we are losing how much at using that money? The 1 cent sales tax now?
Well, it depends. The projected capital cost over the next 5 years are $326,000. $357,773. And that's an average.
Per year? Okay. Thank you. So what do we go to now? Public hearing? Is there anyone from the public would like to speak? So come to the podium, please, sir. State your name and address. Go ahead, come on.
Mr. Chairman. Thank y'all for letting me come up. I know without you're gonna raise a special assessment in my own mind, and I don't believe nothing that I say or anybody else says.
Can you speak up a little?
I don't believe that anything that I say or anybody else says is going to change that. County budgets are kind of funny in my experiences, and if you look at businesses look at projected revenue, and then determine what they can spend. Government looks at it the other way around. They look at expenditures and then collect the money to cover it. So I look for you to raise taxes, or to raise assessments and raise taxes. And I know that fuel cost has gone up. We're all facing with inflation. I know all of that's hitting us right in the head. And the dollar's not worth as much as it was. And, we're just going to keep. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to ask you. I asked the attorney, is the ordinance a law?
An ordinance is law,
It's law?
law of the county.
And is it punishable by, I mean, is there some way, if somebody breaks that law, it's not?
Well, it depends on the ordinance, Mr. Rao.
Yes.
But an ordinance with regard to the collection of assessments, they don't have a penalty there.
No, I know that, but
except for maybe a lien.
Right, okay. But other ordinances, some ordinances do have penalties, right? Okay, and what I wanted to ask you about is, Jim, you go fishing out there on the Gulf, will you catch more redfish than the limit?
You turn them back all but one,
Why?
because it was law.
And what would happen if you got caught with more than
You'd
one?
be fine.
What is that fine? Pretty high, and
Yeah.
it's enough to deter us from keeping more redfish than we ought to, right?
Okay.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make. We got speed limits out there on the road. Do you think if there wasn't fines for speeding, people would stop breaking the speed limit? Yeah, I don't think they would. I think they would just act like they were in Germany on the Autobahn, not have to speed limit. So my point is, you've got an ordinance. You enforce your ordinance, Danny? Do you enforce county ordinances? No. Well, in the county ordinance, if I read it right, unless it's been changed, it says here that any person or entity who violates the provision of this section shall be guilty of a civil infraction, subject to a civil infraction of a fine up to $500 or 30 days in jail if you go to the Florida statute, what they allow you to do with this violation of an ordinance. So you can't put burning material in the dumpster according to your ordinance, and that makes sense. And you don't let people put burning material in the ordinance, do you? And then my time's gonna run out, so I'm gonna skip a lot of these things and go right down to the bottom line. The ordinance says you won't allow anything over 4 foot to go in that dumpster. Do you enforce that ordinance? Did anybody answer that question on the commission? Is that ordinance enforced?
I can say it is. The man down on the bottom of the hill and not up there looking at everything people put in them dumpsters, it's not being enforced. Look, longer pieces than 4 foot going something.
Okay, so why is he not? I'll skip ahead to something else that I want to talk about. No, I want to, well, I will, I'll go ahead, because I don't want to take other folks' time. But you've also got a job qualification for employees. And I'm sure that you hire competent people. And we elect competent people to serve as our commissioners and tax collectors and clerk of court. We elect competent people to do that job. Well, why aren't they going up there to inspect it?
No way they can cover both bases, work the compactor and be up on that hill at all in Kansas at the same time when you got 4 or 5 trucks up on that hill. There's no way. You'd have to have a whole team of people to look at every piece that went in each dumpster and to coach them on how long it had to be or tell them to put it back on the trailer. You'd have, the cost of the labor to do that, Walter, would be off the chain.
Well, what if you was caught with too many redfish? They don't catch every truck or every boat. They don't check all of them. Some people get away with some extra redfish, but they check some, and when they catch them, they fine them. And you know what? People hear about it. They hear about those fines, and then they deter from doing that. They don't go back because they don't want to be fined. But how many cases have we prosecuted in this county? They can't go some of the time, I agree. Can they not go none of the time? Can they never go up? So are you managing your employees? You know, the buck stops with the top. You know, we all know that. People that's up under you, the one, the solid waste folks, you make sure that those folks do what they're supposed to do. If you do, those people that are on the bottom, like I was when I worked all my life, we'd have to do our jobs. Because there was somebody looking at it. You know, a man shoveling in a hole, digging dirt, has no job incentive. There's no incentive to dig dirt. The only thing that he can do is wait for the boss to turn his head and him miss it. Well, at the wage that you're paying these roll-off attendants and the people that you're hiring to do these jobs, that's all they've got to look forward to. It's not not leaving that little air-conditioned building, they're not going up there. And I've heard it said, oh, they can't go, they're too old, they're too crippled, they're too whatever, they can't do that. Well, you need to replace them. You'd be better off to hire somebody that could do it. Can you just imagine how much you could save? Daddy always told us it wasn't what you made that amounted, it was what you saved. What I'm asking you to do is to start thinking about trying to save some money. $43 a ton is a lot, haul, you know, it's a lot to pay. And, that assessment hadn't went up in years. I mean, the tipping fee, it's been the same thing. You know, construction debris, if you put enough of it in a can, you got a load when you go up there. But your average loads don't come near what the capacity of that truck is. Do you know what the cost per ton mile of hauling your garbage is? Have you ever done that study on one? What's the cost per ton mile?
So, well, it depends on what's in the truck. I know the
Now, what's
cost,
your average cost per ton mile?
okay, I know the average cost to Osceola is $38 one way when diesel is $5.61 a gallon.
That's $38 for diesel.
Yes, sir.
But that
Just for
doesn't,
fuel.
that doesn't cover the employee.
No, it
Doesn't
does
cover
not.
his insurance. It doesn't cover, all the other overhead that goes with it. That's only the diesel fuel. But if you looked at the actual cost per ton mile, what I'm telling you is you're not gonna save any money up there at that landfill. Because the tipping fees haven't gone up. Your only place to save money is in your transportation costs. That's the only way you can do it, and all I'm asking you to do is try to, instead of just raising taxes every time to cover the bill, try to save money. Enforce your own ordinance. Well, I mean, make your roll-off attendants code enforcement officers. Pay them more. The cost of sweat's gonna go up, I promise you. The cost of these hourly paid people, it's going up. You're not gonna always be able to get somebody to work for minimum wage and work and have a job, work it. So if your employees don't meet the expectations, the supervisor should address it. It ought not never get to you. You ought not to never hear it. If that, I can go out there to that roll-off site and find mixed garbage in a dumpster, then that superintendent ought to have been out there, Gary. You ought to have been out there, called that attendant in and said, hey, man, you can't do this. It's costing us too much money to do this. We need to have these boxes full so that when they haul them up here.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate you, buddy.
All right, that's it. That's the only thing that I had. The other thing that I would like to just give me just a second. I pulled some data from the recycling within the counties, and I found out that, you know, the best county in the landfill is Dixie County. They average about 4 pounds per person. We have about 1.5 times as much garbage per person as they do. They don't recycle. They don't hardly have any recycling. Their recycle amounts are so low. And I couldn't find, I know y'all get white goods, and I suppose that you dispose of them in your metal can. I don't know what you do with it. But according to DEP's recycle information, y'all don't have any which Taylor County don't have any washing machines and refrigerators and stuff like that to dispose of.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Okay.
How are y'all?
How you doing?
It's my pleasure. And I'd like to address somewhere around where Walter was talking. He was talking about the people being responsible for their jobs. And I know for a fact that I watch at the dumpsters. When I go in, I haul my material anywhere, it's in my truck or on a trailer. My attendant, he comes there and he looks through what I got there, tells me which dumpster to go through. So he has the perfect opportunity to look in there and see what I'm fixing to dump. And then again, I want to point out, y'all talking about going up to the camps and the camp trailers. When the $210 was residential. The definition of a hunting camp means a building operated without profit or gain for the sole purpose of temporary human habitation at no time other than during established or already the waterfowl hunting season. For the purpose of by this law, a hunt camp is a non-residential use. And he'll go out and he'll charge you $210 for a non-residential place, when I may have put 4 bags in a 2-month period, the other time it just sits there. That's not right. When you got your statistics versus campers versus, hunting campers, what was more, was there more hunting campers or was there more camp trailers that are getting lived in? I see camp trailer parks going up everywhere. You don't see them more hunting camps. You won't see them more. I would like for y'all to look at this again. I don't know where you come up with the figure that a hunting camp, 4 bags a year, maybe. I put my trash in the fire pile. We burn ours. We'll use that dump. A lot of people down there do, but they're residential. We're non-residential.
All right, anyone else? Let me get the lady you next, okay?
George Taylor, 2739 East Ellison Road. I wanted to speak on the issue of the burgers also. Now, the $210, I know everything goes up, so that's not a problem. But my problem is, why can't we issue cards to those that won't pay it? Because I'm lucky if I use it once a year, once every 2 years. And, but yet I still have to pay that money. If everyone who paid the cost received an ID card to show the attendance, and those that didn't, you charge so much per truckload, or half a truckload, or whatever. And, the idea might not be feasible, but I wanted to suggest it.
Would you say your name?
George Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Okay. That's the lady.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Toby Wellborn, and we have property at 516 North Main Street in Steinhatchee. We are non-homestead property owners over here. We received our assessment. It went from $420 a year to $1,890 a year. Our property we purchased to have a place for friends and family to come. We do not generate revenue. So it's not one of these things where if we were charging a per night Airbnb fee or short-term rental for other people to come in, that we could make up the difference on this absurd increase. I'm willing to, I don't really have a solution. It's been tossed around the 1 cent sales tax or even an additional tax on the bed tax that we currently have in Taylor. So in addition to myself, I had a petition started. I started it at change.org for this to help represent the people that could not be here tonight because they are and live in different counties. They live in Georgia, whatever. As of Thursday, I had 225 signatures online. And I had printed that out to bring. I didn't know if y'all wanted to see it, but you can actually go to change.org and look it up. As of this afternoon, before I came, there was 243 signatures. And if I would, just to read a few of the comments from people, here's one. How is any small business supposed to survive with all these taxes, much less make a kind of a profit? We're busy 4 months out of the year. We produce more waste in those months. What about the other 8 months out of the year? We're already stressed on how we can make ends meet. There has to be another answer. And I had another comment. I own property in Steinhatchee, and I object to these absurd increases. I do not rent my home, and I'm only there a quarter of the year in total. It's not reasonable for partial tenancy. Let's see what else. I'm a homeowner in Steinhatchee. Carla Etheridge is her name. I'm a homeowner in Steinhatchee and unable to afford this huge tax increase. Property taxes have gone up, and now our solid waste is going to be a hardship for some who could potentially lose their property if not paid. While we don't live here full time, we are fully invested in our community in Steinhatchee, my husband Frank and myself. We're here a lot, just him and myself. We don't have a full campground for, 12 months out of the year. So Fiddler Crab Fest and 4th of July is the only time we have more than one, camper that's got somebody in it. So for us, our property taxes, including this assessment, are going to more than double. Right now, our proposed ad valorem is $948.95. So if you add this $1,890 to it, you see the dilemma we're in. And I speak from the heart for our friends that live in Steinhatchee. Like I said, we're deeply rooted in that community. And there's a lot of them that's where they live. Some are retired, some work there locally. So you know as well as I do, there's seasonal workers. And this is gonna create a hardship and a burden on them. And I would, for one, hope that you guys would reconsider this absurd increase. I know we're not the only ones that are gonna be suffering from it. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
I'm James Lebrecht. I live at 12695 Southwest Earl Blanton. And my concerns are about what we do with these people that, for a fact, even in my neighborhood, live full-time in a travel trailer, a metal shed, a plywood shack, and are you assessing them for all these things, or do they just get to live there and take advantage of these things? And
Go ahead.
and I know for a fact, at least the Shady Grove, I go to the Shady Grove near you. At Shady Grove, there's times when that person never comes out of that shed. They never look at anything going on in there. I've sent Pam pictures of where the yard debris goes. Contaminated totally with garbage. Do we do anything about that? No. Do we do anything about these little cards that you have that you're supposed to be a resident going into this thing? Never look at those. And I live in an area where Madison, I'm sure, they come in and dump their garbage because they're not driving to where they have to go to dump it. I live right in that corner. And these are the things that become upsetting to me, that you're going to do this to me, and I have a mobile home on my property and my house. I pay twice. You're gonna tax me out of my property. It's just very concerning that you don't address the real problems of why we have this problem. You just decide to raise the amount you're gonna have us pay without solving the real problems.
What you're saying is everybody that lives in a shack, or travel trailer, or a aluminum building needs to pay the same thing you pay.
Yes, yes. If they're being a permanent resident in whatever they've decided to live in, because they won't be assessed is what I'm being assessed for what I have as a home, but yet they are still a permanent residence on their property.
I've had a lot of people say the same thing as you, that own a home, and their neighbor lives in a camper trailer, and they did not have any idea that the neighbor that lived in that motor home or camper trailer next door wasn't paying the same thing they were paying.
And trust me,
it upsets them.
and these people know this. That's why they're coming into the county and they're putting their travel trailers on their property that they buy for a decent amount of money. And they're taking advantage of all the services, but yet not paying for them.
They call the fire department will come to them just like you.
Yes,
And if they call an ambulance, it'll come to them just, and cost the taxpayers money just like it would to come to your house.
and I suggested to our administrator that our code enforcement and our county, tax assessor get in the same vehicle and drive around the county and find these properties.
And they pay for law enforcement.
You wanna come to my house, I can take you to some of them.
You pay your part, premium for the law enforcement that will help you if you have a problem, but they're not paying their fair share.
Right. there's a large inequities in this situation.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I want to say something to you. You and I have talked quite a few times, and every issue that you have brought forward, I have turned in every one of them. Any pictures, any complaints, everything that you said
Oh,
tonight
I know you have.
has been turned in. I fully agree with you. If somebody is living full-time in whatever,
Yeah,
I don't care. They need to pay the same thing. And I'm not talking about hunting camps, because
no, no.
that's different for me. I
Right.
agree with Michael Paget about that. Hunting camp shouldn't be charged the full amount. But this has been presented to administration, these issues. I want you to know that.
Oh, I know you've done that,
And
but
back when, let me tell you another thing too. Back when we started this, and it was suggested by our attorney that we have a study done. So we hired a group of people to do a study. Okay, and one of the first things that I asked them when they came before us, are you gonna go around and determine how many people are living in an RV, a shed, a shack, or whatever, full-time? And they said, no, that's not what we do. I said, okay, well then, who's supposed to do that? And their answer was, the tax collector's job is to do that.
that's
So
why I
I
mentioned.
asked the tax collector several times since then, are you going around? And he says they're doing the best they can.
And I have other concerns about these people that are doing such a thing. Do they have a proper septic system? Okay, this is why I brought up the fact of the code enforcement.
Okay.
I did environmental work the last 9 years I worked. I saw point blank what people do and what they don't do.
I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Come on. Let her go and then.
Oh, yeah. Take me a minute or two. I got this letter, good afternoon, Mr.
How you doing?
Chairman. Okay, I'm sorry.
And your name now?
My name's Pamela Bechtold. Bechdolt.
Thank you.
I got this Friday, and it says on here that I was supposed to get a hold of the county assistant county administrator. Yeah, and I got a hold of her today. I believe that if I could get more time to clean up my property and stuff, I can do it. But they just did see what it says. It's a nerve study on my back.
On your way?
My back, my lower back, my hips and my back. They put this, stimulator, put the wires in my spine. Well, they took them out Friday, no, it was Monday of last week. They took them out. So now I'm more sick than what I was before they did it. They're waiting to get the insurance to approve it. And after that, I can pretty well do the work, most of it. But right now, I can't.
So you got two issues. You got the insurance issue and the county issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. This lady here.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Brazel, I live at 6 Fifth Avenue in Steinhatchee. Hi, Michael. I appreciate the time. The one thing about the assessment, my husband and I do oppose, we've been coming here since the 70s. We've had property, a homestead now since about 2017. We've been here full-time for 4 years because I've been retired now. And timing is such, they call me the walking girl in Steinhatchee because I walk around, I talk to a lot of people. And this is gonna be a hardship for some locals. My husband and I can afford this, but there are some people that this truly will run them out of their house. They're longtime widows or women that are living there, and it's just too much for them at this time to go forward. And I know inflation, but it's just the timing of everything is bad. The second is that I would just say that a consultant is easy to bring in. They tell you what you need to do. I use those in my corporate life also. But I agree with what some of the gentlemen, and actually what Ms. Spiegel, I heard her last week. Before you move forward, everyone around this table, it's your responsibility to understand what's the root cause of all this. What is the root cause at every level? Where do you save the money instead of start spending and adding tax dollars? Because I will tell you, there's a lot of inefficiencies that I've seen because we've lived in Georgia, we've lived in Orlando, and things that could be done differently. Now, it's not my job to tell you what to do, but I think even from an outsider, and I'm from healthcare, I can see that there's a lot of opportunities that perhaps were not looked at and just add money. I'll also tell you, going back to what the gentleman said, that yes, the group that came in, because I read the consultant notes and everything they didn't go and walk around. I was telling Luanda, and she's lovely, by the way, I walked around, and I can tell you, because I have the time being retired, looking at who lives where, it's not reflected on once those tax records, because anybody can look at those from the property taxes. So there's a lot of inequities that have been done, and that will not be solved just by raising the prices for those who can afford or can't afford. And finally, I would just say, don't lose fact that this group is supposed to represent the people that are sitting here. And I heard at the last meeting about a parcel of land in Steinhatchee, and that maybe we can look at some schematic designs. Let's get some of the basics that we need done first, and maybe it's different dollars, but we're talking roads, we're talking infrastructure, and Michael knows I've been calling him about infrastructure a lot because of flooding. But let's take care of those things before, let the private people, we got new marinas and stuff that can take care of the private venues and parks or whatever we need, but we really need to focus on making sure at this time, in this place where we are in our environment, that we don't raise taxes, because we will push some locals that they will not be able to afford it. In 3 years, people will be buying up their property. So my husband and I do oppose this assessment, and I hope that, and I would love, if I have time, if there's anyone, if I can help with anything, I know I can get a group of ladies that we would love to help any way that we can. We walk around, we would do the work that the assessment didn't do. We would go do some root cause analysis at the dumps, if you will. But I think that until you've laid your eyes on it, perhaps you're too far away that you don't know what you're seeing either. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Chris Miller, 94 North Buckport, out of King Beach. My husband and I, we live there. We do not homestead. We live there roughly 14 days a month because we work out of town. We just got our letter. We've assessed for 2 homes on 1 property. One is a park model. The other is our personal camper that we store there for when we travel. So we're being assessed $420 for a 480 square foot park model that we're there for 14 days a month.
That's not trash, that's not garbage though, right?
That's for garbage, that's from landfill.
400 and how much a month a year?
420 a year, $210 per unit. We've got 2 units, they say, on our property.
That's what it is now?
44, according to what our letter says, we're gonna be charged for 2 households on 1 piece of property. Yeah, the proposal. I understand you guys did a study. They suggested that you do the dump cards, the decals. I have never been asked to show my card, to show my decal, not once. Keaton Beach dump, Blue Springs, limited hours, 2 to 7. I mean, come on. If you really want to prevent the people coming in on the summer, living in the campers, do a card key. Have an electronic gate. If you don't have a card, you can't get in. You can't dump your garbage. You have to take it out. It's not equitable for the people that live in the community to have to take up the slack for the people that live in the campers or pulling campers 5 and 6 on a piece of property. Yes, Deerwood Acres has a lot of them. We live in a park model. But it's not equitable for us. Why should we have to pay for visitors coming in that aren't residents, that are still dumping at our dump? Because no one's asking for proof that you live there.
I'm glad you didn't take it down.
Thank you.
Go ahead. No, just go right here.
My name is Dale Isle. I'm at 910 Burton Pond Road, Northwest. Moved here about 4 years ago, retired here. And I bought a nice little piece of property to retire on. I was told that I could have 4 RV hookups on it. And I thought over and I thought maybe for the future, if the times get rough, and it looks like they're going to, that I would have those there either for friends or possibly trying to have a little money.
So
to help
we
myself
unplug
live.
it.
And I will tell you, I'm living on a very limited fixed income that the current economy is destroying. I really don't have the money to pay for these extra RV spots that I'm not even using. And I just don't have the extra money. When I look at it, I can't hear, I was told that was falsely anything. I felt I had to be grandfathered in.
And my phone number, address.
And, I just don't have the money to pay these extra fees. I just don't have the income to do it. And I hope you can look at another way that's a little more fair. To me, I'm just a single person living on that property by myself.
I got a question for you. Why did you put those travel trailer sites in? Why?
Well, honestly, I'm hoping that I can survive on the money that I've saved and worked hard for. But I realize that if I'm blessed with living a while, there's a chance in the future where things could get tight financially, especially with the economy and inflation and things like that. I bought it more of as insurance type thing to help me if I got into trouble financially, because I don't want to be on welfare or government assistance. And I'd always hoped maybe eventually I could get a camper there for friends and family. That has not happened, but that's why I bought that.
Well, for you to be assessed, as long as you got them hooked up and power hooked to them, you're gonna be assessed for them. You must have been paying $46 per hookup, or 1/3 of the 140. You've been paying that, haven't you?
I'm not aware of that, sir. I'm sorry.
In other words, they hadn't really checked your place like they should have.
I do not know. I do not know.
So you're paying one fee, what you're paying now.
Hopefully.
Right.
And I just don't look forward to paying for something that I was told that it wasn't gonna cost me any extra, to have those there. And that's why I spent the money to put them in. Strictly in case something happened to me financially.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, sir. Come on.
Good afternoon. I'll be short and sweet. I'm sitting in the back and I see all these nice speakers and people who got a hearing problem. You have not heard nothing that's gone on. So what I'm going to say will probably be a repeat of something. Me and my daughter own an acre lot here toward Keaton Beach. About the last 10 years.
I'm sorry, your name, sir?
Pardon?
Your name, sir? I'm sorry, your name?
Would be Sidney Jackson, SYD.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. For probably the last 7 or 8 years, we've got a homemade camper on the property that's like under 300 square foot. My brother-in-law's got a camper there under a tin roof, and my son-in-law's got a camper. Well, I've been paying for the last 7 or 8 years the $200 a year for trash service, even though the trash service or roll-off is 10 miles from my place. So it makes very little sense to drive 10 miles to drop off half a bag of garbage when I can take it home just as easy. is what I'm asking is consideration. The letter said I was gonna be charged for 3 residents. Nobody lives there. This is the first time I've been down here the last 2 months, and the only time I came was to cut the grass, to keep the appearance up, to keep it nice. And then I get a letter, $640 for trash pickups, or for the roll-off. I'm from South Georgia. We just got a trash increase of $5 to $25 a month. I've got trash coming, they come by and pick it up every week. I know that can't happen in everywhere, but to charge somebody $200 for a camper, for the garbage pickup or trash roll-off, when you never use it, and I think that's unfair. And my next question would be, how do you appeal the decision?
Mr. Bishop, can you answer that?
How do you?
Or can I just call the county commissioner's office tomorrow and ask them what to do?
Our attorney's
I'm
gonna.
trying to
answer your question. If you're assessed, as far as appealing it, the only way you could do it would be to go to court. Now, you can appeal your bill for your tax.
No, this is for garbage pickup, garbage roll-off.
Yes, sir, that was trying to tell you the difference.
There's no way to appeal it.
No, unless you go to court. And they haven't said it yet.
I want to get in front of the line, I don't want to be waiting.
You're here.
I just rode 100 miles and spent $75 gas to get out here.
You're here.
So that's all I got to say. I'm sorry I couldn't hear you back, but I'm sure I'll repeat something that's already been said.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Come on.
And have comments. How much do we generate from 1 cent sales tax?
Speak up.
The number, how much money are we gonna generate with a 1 cent sales tax? The amount.
We get about $2 million a year.
That's where we'd be at, 2 million.
That's what we're getting now. We already assessed the 1 cent sales tax.
But if we did a sales tax, wouldn't it make a lot more sense and all these people could go home and all things over with? Because everybody pays sales tax, correct? And so then nobody gets away with it. If somebody wants to put the wrong piece of garbage in the thing, that's another whole issue that we don't need to discuss, from my opinion. We just had an audit, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago in the newspaper that showed that the county was in good financial shape. And yet we lost, what, $50,000 and that what started this whole thing when he came up short $50,000 this year on the garbage. And that's where the whole thing kind of started from.
The board has been considering this for 2 years.
And I think it's a great thing that y'all done a really good job for 16 years. Y'all look at everything a little bit different. Instead of saying it's a bad thing that we ain't raised rates in 16 years, why don't we be applauded? Because y'all kept those rates down for all these years. And thank y'all for that. And we didn't have to move those rates up. And I understand that. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't understand if you ain't going to the grocery store or the gas station, you gotta be a ludicrous that everything's gone up. Minimum wage moves at the end of this month. So if our employees aren't, they fixing to have to, by law, we gotta move them $1 at the end of the month. Whether the year, they got all be, about 2 more years, they got all got to be $15 an hour. As a small business owner, I can understand that completely. It generates about $30-something, what is it, $18 a month. The next question I got, is there an opt-out program? Do y'all have an opt-out program? So if I want to opt out and get my own garbage pickup, why do I have to continue to pay that? Don't we have a second one now? Imperial Pops, doesn't he pick up garbage? Yes. Do we have an opt-out program for that? Could I just opt out?
Not that I know.
Why do we don't have that?
I don't know.
Well, shouldn't we have that? If I don't want to pay it, I shouldn't have to pay and then pay Pops too, correct? So I have four, by the way, because I'm all these people the same way. I have 2 at my home, which I haven't figured that out. I got one on shed that has no livable space in it, and I gotta fight that later down the road, and then my 2 campers at the beach. My question is, if I eat a can of beans, how many cans of beans can I open on one piece of, 2 or 3 different pieces of property? So it's very, to me, it's taxation without representation as far as I can see. But I think the sales tax, if we are gonna go through this, put it through a sales tax and make everybody happy and everybody get along instead of. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, hold on just a minute. I appreciate you talking about the ones that sell tax, but I'm not for increasing any tax, and certainly not going up to what is proposed here for this assessment. We need to fix the problem. I'm not for raising and putting in another one cent sales tax. We're just covering up the real issues. We've got to fix the problem
I
before
agree
we
100%.
talk about raising anything.
And it's not just with the garbage, there's a lot of laws y'all have all over the place, but we.
Not only here, everywhere else in this
It
country.
is, and it's because I have employees, and just what the man said about digging a hole, you turn your back and I'll quit digging. I understand that. And it does take a lot of management, like Mr. Moody said, Commissioner Moody said, it just, who's gonna manage all that? It gets really, really hard because you got to understand the workers are driving the bus, and if they decide they don't like it, we should be without any roll-off attendants. We have to close the roll-offs completely.
Yeah, about that. Job signs all over this county.
Everywhere.
Anybody want to work in what?
For every person looking for a job, there's 2 jobs for them to have.
All right.
Well, you were talking about opting out, and are you saying that if someone picks your garbage up for you?
There
Is
should be
that
an
what
opt-out
you're
program
saying?
from my standpoint. I don't know why we can't opt out.
Okay, so if you have someone that you hire to pick up your garbage, where are they taking it?
But I guess they take it, that's not my
Yeah,
concern.
but it's my concern though.
Okay, I
If
guess
they
they-
take it to a
that's
land,
something.
if they take it to one of our roll-offs, then that is garbage coming from you. But now, and that's one situation, but if they're gonna take it up to Greenville and bypass our roll-off, then that's a whole different scenario in
I
terms
don't
of
know how that
opting out.
opt-out works. I don't know how they work. I just thought there should be a opt-out.
He hauls it to the landfill.
You know,
I'll check.
Yeah, I was just wanted to make the point of where it's going, if it's going to our roll-off or if it's going to the landfill.
I'm kind of unique. I have 4 pieces of property that I'm gonna get taxed on. Then I also have a business in the city. I don't even use the roll-off. I just don't use it because it's easier. I have to pay the city, so why not use there? And there's about $32 a month. You guys will be with the increase about $18 or $19 per person, per household per month. So that's if you haven't done that on that.
It's well taken.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Zerbrick, fairly long time, about 44 years in Steinhatchee. What I agree with my neighbor Kathy over here, and Mr. Dempsey's got the notes, that I 2 or 3 times at this podium said that RVs, but I was thinking of an individual RV should pay the same as an individual home. The people that have, if you have a fifth wheeler under a nice pole barns, and you're paying $46 a year, and a guy with a home is paying $140, that's wrong. That wasn't leveling the playing field. What I didn't count on was the $210 accelerated fee. That's what you're gonna have to work on. I have a dumpster at an RV facility I have, I'm commercial. People that have 4 RVs on a piece of property and we're renting them out, they should have an occupational license. They can get a dumpster. Now, a dumpster isn't cheap either, but I am for a level playing field, but I never counted on 4 RVs paying $840 a year. So I gotta go back, Mr. Dempsey, when I said that, but it's not right that an RV pays one fee and a home pays another. It should be, because I know an RV can generate just as much garbage as a 3-bedroom home. Especially the people that talk about not being there. No, I'm gonna be assessed. I got my assessment, but, I do a little bit different. I have 2 pieces of property, there's 1 individual assessment on each one. And so I don't have the same complaints as some of these people with multiple RVs that are there. But I do support that we gotta do something. We have to do something. And I don't know how you enforce for somebody pops picking up and not picking on them. They do a great job, from what I understand. But when you got the washing machine and the dryer out there that need to be picked up, where are they taking that? They don't pick up that kind of garbage. So then it goes over to the roll-off. I would like to see the sticker enforced. I think they're doing a good job at first. I saw my roll-off guy the other day turn a commercial guy away. He had a truck with commercial lettering on it, and he said, "No, you're in a commercial truck with lettering that said landscaping, even though you said it's your own home." He turned him away. So, there's some things we need to work on. But I do support that we need an increase, just didn't count on one this size.
Let me tell you about that fellow that told him that he had to turn that truck around. He was a brave man.
Yeah.
Now, you know,
That's Darryl, what was I, the group, seen that Darryl all the time.
you go to talk to some of these people around here about turning that garbage away, man, they put a whooping on you. And 75-year-old people working down there in those, places. I actually feel sorry for them. I have to work at 75 years old.
Oh, yeah, no, I talk to her all the time.
But now, let me tell you this, one of them told me, said, we're talking about 2 loaves of bread a week. Bread cost you, last year was $2.50. Now it's $3.45. He said, Tom, 2 loaves of bread a month, what we're talking about. Well, the person is bringing the $140 and you charge him $6 more a month. 2 loaves of bread a month. That's what we're talking about.
Mhm.
But that's what he said. I hear this out here, and I'm pretty sure everybody out here is just as poor as they can get. I mean, they just about to fall over and be an infant. That ain't right. You know that. I like the thought that a man said this while ago, Mr. He's gone. You know, Taylor County is blessed, and you got the Cadillac services. I understand that. And then the 4-foot stuff we supposed to carry to the landfill. You tell want to come there with a 5-foot piece of 5-foot board in there, and you tell them to take it off. You put a whooping on you. You know that. Taylor County is a strange place. They like what they want. They got the Cadillac. Anything you can carry that landfill, we take it. You can't do that nowhere else in the world.
Well, I just like to
Nowhere else
see,
in the world can you do that.
Mr. Dent, through the chair, maybe you could sway, I'd like to see everybody at least be at a level playing field.
Yeah.
I just think that the 210 might be a little high, but I didn't look at the numbers.
Yeah.
But I do count on my representation, and he filled me in, and they knew they had to do something. The shortfall is tremendous every year.
Okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone coming. Is there anyone else? I don't want to give everybody an opportunity. Come on.
Jennifer Floyd.
Jennifer Floyd. Go ahead.
The piece of property that we're talking about is,
Speak up, ma'am.
yeah, is actually 228 Landry Road.
Landry Road.
Landry Road. Half of half of the property I own is in the county, half is in the city. The house is in the city. There is no residence on the county piece of property that we're being taxed for, the $200. What do we, now see, my daughter was we were having a mobile home set up on our front piece of property, which is in the city, and they told us that was rezoned. We never knew it was rezoned. We owned the property for 20 years. We were never made aware of it being rezoned. We just removed an old trailer, and she was putting in a new mobile home in there. And that could be where the confusion is, I guess, but we don't have anything on our county piece of property. There's no home, there's no residence.
Okay.
If you'll leave me your name and number,
Okay.
I'll be happy to give you a call tomorrow and we can,
Figure out.
yes, ma'am.
Because, I mean, she went and paid all the permits and city everything, and she was never refunding her money because they never would do it, because it was zoned, apparently, we couldn't put it there.
Okay. Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Robert Lamont. I'll make this very quick. I've been in and out of this town. I had a rental here. I just got married to a girl who lives in this town. We live in Cooey's Island. My mother recently passed away, so I just used that money that I got from England to put down on, it's just property. It's got an old mobile home, but it does have 8 sites on there. 8, hobby pop hookups. But we don't even live there. We just bought it. I mean, you don't really use it, and it's not you have that. The old mobile home needs a lot of work done to it, so we don't actually even live there. I hope it's one day to live there, but it needs a lot of work. So, from what I understand, is I'm gonna have to pay for like 8 hookups now, and I'm not even using them. It's got 8 hookups. I know anybody who knows me here As some people, it was an old mess camp. Basically, it was used as, like, for the better terms, they had a bunch of old derelict trailers. Me and my new wife now, we spent the last, I'm gonna say close to 7 months since we purchased this, just cleaning it up. And that's all we've done, just try and clean it up, which only improves the neighborhood, I hope. But we're not using it. We don't live in it, you know, we live on a whole different island. So that's all I really want to say.
What did you do with your stuff when you were cleaning it up? Where'd you carry it?
What? The garbage?
Your stuff that you cleaned up, you said you've been cleaning
Well, actually, all the old RVs and stuff, we actually, believe it or not, people will take them. We just put it online and people will take it. There's an old junk metal guy, I can't remember his name, but he lives in Steenhatchee. He came around, we just piled it all together. He came around and got all the metal and he takes it to Gainesville, I believe. Yes, we did have a couple of pickup trucks loads of garbage. But and I will pay the normal tax on that house and the house that we live in, obviously, because there's taxes on it. But it wasn't an accessible load because we tried to recycle and do that kind of stuff and repurpose a lot of it. Just because it wasn't good for us, it doesn't mean it wasn't good for anybody.
Of course, you got 8 electrical hookups hooked up on your place.
Yeah.
Is electricity going to all of them?
I guess, yeah. Yes, it is.
Well, in other words, you could put a camper there tomorrow or today if you wanted to.
Yeah, if I wanted to, yeah. But I mean, if we wanted to actually make a home there and not use it for that, you tell me I have to rip them all out. I can't even keep one for a friend, otherwise I'm gonna be paying $2,000 a year just to have them there.
Well, you could get the electricity took away from them and that would be, and is there 8 septic tanks there?
What?
Is there 8 septic tanks?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was hooked up for all this, I guess, yeah.
You could do away with the power poles and then you could get that adjusted. But the way it stands, you got 8 power poles.
I mean, I'm sure already I'm paying the taxes on it because of the last person who owned it. And he told me when I purchased the land, he showed me what the taxes were and everything. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was okay. I mean, I wasn't gonna argue with him. It seemed reasonable, you know, from what it was. Because I know taxes are taxes. You pay property taxes no matter where you live in America. The fact that it might be an added amount is what. I'm okay with paying what it is, and if it goes up a little bit, everything goes up. Like I said, loads of rate goes up, everything goes up.
The way the ordinance is on the camper trailer, you can't have 4 with your residents anyway. You're not even supposed to have 8. That turns into a trailer park if you got 8.
Oh, okay, I don't know what it actually was. It's a few acres, though, and it's not just a lot. It's like 3.5 acres.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I want to give everybody a chance to speak that want to speak to this issue. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairperson, I have some letters to read, and then I believe we also have a caller on the line, whenever you're ready for me to read letters that were sent in.
Okay, read the letter.
Okay. Okay. I have 2 emails from Laura Johnson. The first one from August 29th reads,
Can y'all hear her? No, they can't hear you.
What do we need to do?
We need microphones.
We don't have them tonight, right? Okay.
I can stand over here if it would help.
Okay,
Okay.
read the microphone.
Can
Yeah,
everyone
read the
hear me? Is that easier? Okay. I recently sent my commission representative a letter concerning your proposed action on solid waste assessments for hunting camps. Let me start by asking you a question. If you stop to buy gas and the pump says you owe $20, but when you started to pay for that gas, the clerk charged you $30, would you pay the $30? The answer, I'm sure, is no, because you only got $20 worth of gas. Well, that's exactly what you're trying to do to people owning hunting camps. Can you explain to me how I can generate waste in 2 places at once? I'm either generating waste at home or at the camp, but not both places at the same time. To make my situation even worse, I lease the property where my camp is, and my lease says I can only stay there during hunting season, and I cannot sublease or rent it out. If I could rent or lease it out, then I could certainly agree that I should pay another waste assessment, but that's not the case. So you are in fact wanting me to pay for a service which I am not receiving. This is absolutely not fair to require me and the other camp owners who lease from Four Rivers to pay for something we will not receive. I'm not sure that's even legal. I'm asking you as a commissioner to do what is morally right. It's not a question of who can afford it, but a question of right or wrong. My commissioner, Mrs. Spiegel, has informed me that not everyone who lives in Taylor County is paying an assessment, so it appears that a lot more thought needs to be given this issue. What about people living in an RV or a utility shed? I have been paying this assessment for my camp. It's factored into the lease as a separate line item for years and never received anything from the county. Let me relate something I saw a couple of months ago. I made my weekly trip to my roll-off site and witnessed a licensed general contractor unload his truck, which was full of building debris, into the dumpster. What makes this even worse is he lives inside the city and pays nothing to use the county service. How many more loads am I paying for because you don't police such activity? It appears to me that you need to do some belt tightening before you start charging me more. Thank you for taking time to read this. Now it's time to do what is right and fair, not what is easiest. And then the second email reads, I had planned on being at your meeting tomorrow night. However, due to illness, I will not be able to attend. First, I would like to thank Mrs. Spiegel for her concern and quick reply to my email. Apparently, she is the only one of you who is concerned about county residents because she is the only one who responded to my email. It's very disappointing and disturbing that you other four chose to ignore a citizen who is very upset with being billed twice for a service. It's absolutely ridiculous that you want hunting camp owners to pay anything for solid waste, let alone the full amount. I once again argue that I cannot generate waste at my home and camp at the same time. Therefore, you are requiring me to pay for a service I'm not receiving. How much revenue will be brought in by billing camps, not second homes, but hunting camps? Do you know how much? Is everyone paying the assessment, or are people living in RVs and sheds not paying anything? Is Taylor County still paying Dixie County to haul to the landfill? Is it legal for you to require me to pay for a service I'm not receiving? Is it morally right to require me to pay for something I'm not receiving? The answer is that it is absolutely not morally right to require anybody to pay for something they are not receiving. It's not always easy to do what is right, but I, for one, expect that from an elected official. I ask that you work on this issue a little more, because it appears that all variables were not considered. Thanks again to Mrs. Spiegel, and I hope the other four will revisit this issue.
Who you said that was? What's her name?
From Laura Johnson.
Laura Johnson. I never received the telephone call. That telephone number?
I think it was an email. The second letter is from Charles and Sherry Harris. I would like to appeal the solid waste service assessment for, I'll just read the address, 2370 Red Oak Road, Perry, Florida, 32348. I am not a permanent resident. I only go maybe once a month. Do you think this is a fair charge for minimal usage? I have 4 RV spots on my 1 acre lot, but only use 1 spot. Occasionally a friend will use one, and we will be charged $840 to $912 per year for a service I do not use. You can verify my usage by my utility bill. Is it fair for a 4-bedroom home to be charged the same as 4 people camping occasionally on the weekends? I pay annually now for waste service, and I have only used the roll-off spot maybe twice in a year. I usually bring home my 1 bag of trash home. It is out of my way to use your service, and the hours available is not convenient. Should I be charged for a service I do not use? Can it be charged by the pound or by the usage? Maybe use a punch card for so many usages per year. What is your 2022 sanitation budget? What will be your projected 2023 budget with this increase? This is a substantial increase. Thank you for your consideration, Charles and Sherry Harris. The next letter reads, we respectfully request relief from the solid waste assessment of $210. We are paying a private contractor $360 a year to pick up our solid waste, so we do not utilize the solid waste and recovered materials facility. For the above reasons, we feel we should receive relief from the above assessment. Thank you immensely for your consideration. Patricia J. Ludwig. Next letter is, I would like to express my objection to the proposed annual special assessment for solid waste and recovered materials collection and disposal services. I own the above referenced property and visit it one weekend per month. I do not utilize any Taylor County disposal facilities or services while I am visiting. When I leave, I haul all of my refuse back to my home in Georgia for disposal. Therefore, I would like to opt out of any special assessment due to the limited time that I spend in Taylor County and due to my non-use of any of the services proposed by the special assessment. Sincerely, Wanda Gale Rutland. The next is an email from Mindy Lance. As a property owner in Steinhatchee, Taylor County, I would like to file an objection to the proposed annual special assessment for solid waste and recovered materials collection and disposal services. The notice to property owner states that I have a total of 4 residential dwelling units on my parcel. According to my research with HUD and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System in Washington, D.C., an RV is not considered a residential dwelling. It is designed to provide temporary residential accommodations that can be readily moved on the highway. I don't have any permanent residential dwellings. I am permitted for 4 RVs. The 4 RVs are temporary and on the property primarily during scalloping season. Most of the RVs are only occupied for approximately 4 days a month and for 3 months out of the year. One is stored full-time and unoccupied except for about 10 days in a year. Additionally, the current roll-off service is not used by 3 of the RVs because we were only provided 1 sticker and that is placed on our truck. Furthermore, most of the time we bring our garbage back to our home county since it is typically only 1 bag. I do not believe that an assessment for 4 residential dwellings for a half-acre parcel is appropriate. A charge of $840 for garbage collection waste is excessive. In my homestead county, where I use garbage daily, and have garbage collection at my driveway, I pay 1/4 of what Taylor County is assessing. I do not think the assessment is proportionally figured. 4 temporary RVs that are rarely occupied is receiving the same assessment as 4 permanent residential dwellings that are occupied full-time. That should be reevaluated. I would like my objection duly noted in the Board of County Commissioners meeting on September 6th, as I am not able to attend in person. Sincerely, Mindy and Obie Lance. Next letter. To whom it may concern, we are owners of condo 304 in Steinhatchee Place. My association monthly dues includes a payment to the garbage collection service. A dumpster is on the premises for residents to deposit solid waste for the service to haul it off. There is 1 tenant in 304. Please tell me why we should be assessed for garbage when we are paying for solid garbage through our HOA dues. Respectfully, Gerald D. Gregor. I can probably help this person and verify that information with the tax collector's office. Next letter. As the property owner of 20980 Keaton Beach Drive, I object the special assessment for solid waste. We aren't permanent residents. Thank you, April Crippen. Next letter. Mark and I do not live on this property. We go down there to fish about 4 to 5 times a year. We do not use the solid waste disposal facilities, maybe 4 times a year, and all we have are cans. We burn all paper plates, anything that we can burn in our burning barrel. You all want to charge $420 for that, maybe for people that live there in Taylor County, Florida. I do not think this is fair at all. What trash I have the day and start back home, I have to bring with me because trash facilities does not open until 2 p.m. Thank you, Denny Cox. Next letter. We are writing to state our objection to the cost of the solid waste service assessment, which is proposed for our property in Steinhatchee, Florida. The proposed amount of $210 seems excessively high when we already have a road assessment added to the property as well as property taxes. We are Alaskan residents and only in Florida for 4 months a year, and while we use the landfill to empty our garbage as 2 seniors, we just don't create much solid waste. Some places charge instead per load or by weight, which seems a much more equitable way to charge for landfill disposal. We oppose this rate change as it seems exorbitant. Thank you for your consideration, Jens and Leslie Clark. Next letter. As a property owner in Steinhatchee, Taylor County, I would like to file an objection to the proposed annual service assessment for solid waste and recovered materials collection and disposal services. The notice to property owner states that I have a total of 4 residential dwelling units on my parcel. According to my research, I'm sorry, that's the same letter that I read before from the Lance. And the last letter is from Sheila Bryan, to whom it may concern. This is to inform you that I, Sheila Bryan, owner of 21010 King Beach Drive, object to the solid waste assessment. Reasons being is that this is our vacation property. We do not live there full time. We only have a camper or RV on the property. We are there maybe 2 to 3 times a month during the summer on weekends. We do not use this as rental property. It is only for our personal use. We already pay a $46.67 landfill fee on the property taxes. I feel that this is an unfair assessment when we do not need this type of service for our property. Sincerely, Sheila Bryan.
Yes. Since there's no other one of the public would like to make a comment, what about the committee?
Mr. Chairperson, I think we have one person on the phone.
Okay. What's the number?
Hold on 1 second.
Mr. Michael DeVille, his last 4 digits is 7183.
7183. Online, please.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. State your name, sir.
My name is Michael, last name is Vidal. I'm actually calling on behalf of the Cold Dollars Hunt Club at 10985 Bob Tucker Road, and that's in Salem.
Okay.
All right. Well, I just wanted to voice our concerns as well here at the Cold Dollars Hunt Club. It's been established since 1974, and we've got several members that are still part of the club, the assessment of it. And really what I've been working with a lot of folks like Michael, Susan, and several folks there at the county, just to understand what potential options we have. But I wanted to just bring to this group some of our concerns that I think has actually been voiced by other folks that have spoken up here from a hunt club perspective, but really to take it a little bit more further into our scenario. As of last year, we were really utilizing the Waste Pro services there, and we had to essentially drop the service based on the fact that Fort Rivers has placed a gate essentially at the point of entry to our property here. It's one of our shared easements essentially that we have to access our property. So that forced us to really have the other alternative, which was the roll-off site. That's when we work closely to make sure that we are adhering to the rules and assessments were done. Our waste management cost at that point in time actually went up to closer to almost $1,200 for the year. But with the special assessment, we're looking at the high end of $5,900. So almost roughly $4,700 increase annually for this membership. For us, that brings us a big concern, as I'm sure it does for other hunt clubs out there. We do have the campers that are out there for not just members, but sometimes an extended family if they were to come in during the hunting season or just a weekend to get away. There's a lot of folks that I would say are weekend warriors. And what we have also encountered is just even from the roll-off site perspective, even though we've switched to that, we really haven't been leveraging the services as much because those that are coming up during the weekend, either to prepare for the hunting season, we're packing up our garbage because the roll-off site, for example, is closed on Sundays. So I just wanted to see if we can express our concerns, if there's any additional considerations for hunt club members to potentially reduce the price, especially when the service is not being used in its entirety and definitely not being used for all the assessed campers that could potentially be part of that hunt club. We are working with Waste Pro right now as an alternative. We have not gotten 100% clearance yet. We are potentially looking at removing ourselves from the roll-off site to leverage the Waste Pro. But until the can has been delivered, is what I've been indicated from Waste Pro, we don't have a confirmation. So that would, again, lean us back to the roll-off site. And that $4,700 increase is really going to be something that's going to hurt the club and the membership here.
Yeah, I don't know, how do you get your $4,700? You got 47 members in there or something, 80 members, is that what you got?
No, so we've got 26 assessed trailers is what's been assessed from last year's initial sign up. So the high end on the letter that I received was at the future local taxes would be increasing to $5,928 based on 26 parcels, which is what we show as potentially hooked up parcels. Again, even though they're not all being used and some are just for guests as they come up, we never have that many members ever in the club at one point in time at all. So there's a couple of times out of the year where we might have members up there for a week during the November hunting season, the general event really, but that's about it. Other than that, it's been really more folks that come up for the weekend, either to get away or prepare for the hunting season.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it, yeah, I appreciate the time and thank you for hearing us out.
Okay. Mr. Peter?
Okay. My position has not changed from the beginning. I'm not for this kind of increase in this assessment. I think it's unfair until we have done some sort of root cause analysis to further identify some of the issues that we have and find some solutions. Once we've done that and see where we are, then perhaps it might be in order to have some kind of increase. Maybe not, I don't know, but we have not done that work yet. And we've heard, just tonight, we've heard citizens bring forth a lot of issues that they've seen. And I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I've reported issues that I've seen and that have been passed on to me. And so until we can sit down through these workshops that I have suggested that we have and focus exclusively on this solid waste issue, I cannot vote for this kind of increase. And then again, we've got the hunting camp issues that we need to address. I certainly agree that if someone is only using that hunting camp just a little bit, they're burning their trash, that I think it's unfair to charge them the full amount. But I do think that if a person is living in an RV, a shed, a shack, whatever it is, they're living there full time, I think just like someone said, they're generating just as much garbage as someone who's living in a 3-bedroom house. So they, somehow or another, we got to identify who is responsible to look for these places and have them to pay their fair share. It's not right for us to have to pay the full assessment and other people living and not paying but just a fraction or nothing, paying nothing. So that's where I am. My position has not changed. I'm totally against this.
Okay. Commissioner?
Your proposal is just to keep things as they are?
My proposal, Commissioner, is to have a series of workshops right away.
But
Now, hold on, you asked me a
fund-
question, let me
Sure.
answer it, okay?
Sure, I would.
So I want to have a series of workshops right away
Sure.
to identify these problems and see what kind of cost savings can be put into place. And then see where we net out. And then if we need to raise it a little bit, then I would feel better about that instead of right now just putting a huge increase on it without doing anything. To me, that's an easy way out.
$6 and a 6 increase?
$6 a month on the,
Well, if we're talking about $210, I don't think we voted on this yet, right?
well, that was just a figure that the person who talked to me said, that's 2 loaves of bread a month.
I'm just saying and I don't know what y'all are gonna vote on tonight. But if you vote on the 210, that's a pretty excessive increase.
$6 a month, $6 a month, okay.
Isn't it also, an option to look at the, 5-year average on funding this department by using, the 1 cent sales tax for capital purchases?
Yes.
And doesn't that reduce that amount quite a bit? I believe that number is $178. Is that, am I calling that correctly? So that's not $210, or maybe closer to, I think, Mr. Dent's comparison to a couple of those bread. And it also would not then be proposing the excessive amount that's been discussed here tonight. So, given that, would that also help address the issue of the exhausted reserve fund in this program?
Hopefully, yes.
That also reaches out to address the operating need for increases for fuel or minimum wage.
That would completely fund the proposed budget and hopefully generate revenue that could be saved in reserves.
That's it. That's it. Jamie?
I appreciate everyone coming tonight, you know, speaking for and against, you know, giving their thoughts on what should be done here. You know, since I've been on this board in 2020, I've sat in several meetings discussing this solid waste and seeing this shortfall. And to go over, you know, to discuss what potentially could be the root cause, and the issue didn't just start 2 years ago. The issue's been ongoing and ongoing, and we've been dragging money out of these reserves for some time now. And you just can't do that for so long. I think just this year, we probably depleted all the reserves. Am I correct? And you just can't continue to do that without taking some kind of action. And yes, I don't know why there hasn't been any kind of action in the past. I wasn't here. But we waited till the last hour now to all of a sudden try to start digging into the root cause, and we're out of money. So, you know, I see what Commissioner Newman is, we're talking the 5-year average of 178. It kind of addresses all the issues that we are dealing with. Now, we do have issues to deal with you know, C and D, and that's a whole another you know, issue that's coming down the pipes. I think Commissioner Fiegel had mentioned having numerous workshops to address that. So, but I think we have some options here in place that will address our issues and that's at hand. So,
I appreciate y'all coming and giving us your information and giving us your worries about this thing. The big picture is, we've been talking about this for about 4 or 5 years. I've kicked this can down this counter right here many nights. I've never got commissioners in the past to really ready to do something about this. And I've been speaking of it over and over and over. Now we got down to the point, we, about $300,000 in the hole. And we done took it out of reserve. Our reserve will be gone after this if we took it out of reserve again. Wouldn't even have no reserve. And they have tried, Gary has tried, we have tried to get our dump sites better and better over the period of time. You have a world of people that say they got 4 hookups, but they don't use them very much. The thing is, if they'll get that power took from them, they can get that bill dropped. I mean, one man said he had 8. And I mean, if he gets power took off him 8 sites, he ain't got to pay, no garbage fee on them 8 sites. But you've got people complaining about hunt camps, man. I know people that use their hunt camps every weekend and all hunting season, and there's always somebody coming and going, family members and everything, and they generate a lot. People buy a piece of property, they build them a hunt camp, they cut down the trees, they haul all the old junk off, it goes to the landfill, it comes to our site. I mean, you got all kind of stuff coming to the site. And the only way we're gonna pay our bills and be able to give y'all services is be able to pay for them. I'm in favor of the 178, and I want everybody to pay the same. I know there's a few hunting camps that people only go 8 or 10 times a year, but there's no way for us to distinguish how many times somebody uses a hunting camp. I mean, some people say I only go on weekends to a fish camp, Steinhatchee, but they might have other camp folks that go there, I mean, there's just no way to really get the numbers on a person, how many times they go to a place. So we've got to be fair to the homeowners of Taylor County and the people of Taylor County, we need it all the same. And it needs to be 178, as far as I'm concerned. We do need to do some more research to fine tune this thing where we can save money, but at this point, we're in the hole and we have got to have revenue to pay the bill. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so I'm in favor of the 178 myself.
Okay, and you're right, we're in the hole. We've been in the hole. We've been in the hole. And the can has been kicked down, but you've heard problems. We still have the problems today that we had 1 year ago, 2 years ago.
More than that.
And 10 years ago, and 14 years ago. And the problems have been brought forth, and nothing has been done about the problems. So, we can increase that assessment, but we still got the problems. If we fix the problems, who's to say that we may not even have to pay $140 what we've been paying? Okay, so I'm not for adding more of a burden on the citizens to pay more when we know we have problems and we have not fixed the problems. One commissioner cannot fix the problems. No one commissioner can fix the problems. We've got staff, we've got administration, all of us together, perhaps we can fix the problem. But I'm not for just putting a Band-Aid on it, charge you all more money, and go on, and next year we'll be more in the hole and raise it more next year. We have to fix the problem.
Yeah, one question. We say this problem has been going on for 2 years. We just mentioned 6 years, 10 years. Why don't we wait until 2021 and Commissioner Newman brings it to the table? Why do we wait? Why all of a sudden it's an issue then? Why do we all of a sudden got to fix it then? Why wasn't it fixed or something done about it 10 years ago? And we knew we had a problem.
You asking me that?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, well, you've been here 2 years, and nothing's been done. Nothing's been done, but.
Study's been done, and now progress can be made tonight. Fix it. Not sit here for 10 years and say, we can keep talking about it next year if we'll get a study done. I sat out there in the audience for several times when the budget came around and the issues came up with solid waste. And the same thing happened. Let's just take it out of reserves. Let's just pay for it out of reserves, and we'll hope that it gets better next year. And maybe the fund will self-correct, or maybe it'll repair itself. But for some reason, it hasn't done that. And I don't believe I can do that kind of math when fuel costs and inflation costs are around and going everywhere, and say that we're gonna pay less than 140 and keep it fractionalized. That math that does not work. I don't need a calculator for that. I don't need a calculator for that.
Commissioner Newman, I don't appreciate you interrupting me. I was talking, but are you done? When you get done, I'll finish with what I was saying. You're done.
Right.
Okay, you've sat here for 2 years and you've done nothing.
Sure.
And you have agreed to take it out of reserves too.
I
But
didn't have any choice.
I don't know about anybody. I can speak for me that the issues, the problems I have brought forth and brought forth and brought forth, all these issues, nothing has been done, nothing. So,
Sure.
I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying that it hasn't been done. Just because you've only been here 2 years, doesn't make you just as responsible as anybody. But administration and Mr. Wumble has been made aware of these problems, and nothing has been done to fix it. And so why are we bringing it up now? Because the administration comes forth and says, we're $300 and something in the hole. We've used all our reserves. What are we gonna do? Oh, let's just charge everybody more money. Let's don't worry about fixing the problem. Let's charge you guys more money. I'm not for that.
Is that all?
Yes, it is.
Right. Because I think, Mr. Wambo, haven't you brought several proposals about different plans to aid in assisting with problems with this fund? Not this year, but in the past, to previous boards, you presented multiple options to deal with the costs and the shortfalls in this department. Is that true?
He has, over and over.
But nothing's been done, Commissioner? And I don't think we waited till this year to bring up the fact that we needed a study done because of the shortfalls in this department. We've had multiple discussions about all sorts of needs and problems, and I'm willing to go on further into those discussions. But this fund has got to be dealt with tonight. I don't see any other suggestions as to how it can be funded and go forward with the needs and the costs that are associated. And I don't think it's the way that you run a business. As a matter of fact, I know it's not the way that you run a business, to continue to depend on emergency funds to prop up operating expenses. That is not fiscally responsible.
All right, good, thank you. We bring this to a close. We're supposed to make a motion tonight and make. Now, I'm going to ask the board again. Do we want to make a motion to pass this ordinance?
Resolution.
Resolution.
Okay. So, do I hear a motion? That motion?
Gonna include the rate in that.
I'll make a motion to pass the resolution at the 5-year average of 178.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion second, all in favor, saying aye? Aye.
No for me.
Okay. Do we need to speak any more to that? Okay, all right, and that's the bare minimum.
I'd like to say one thing. We did come up with an idea to put stickers on everybody's vehicle that was going to the dump site. And I missed a meeting one time, for some reason or another, we got stickers, but we got cards where everybody could pass the cards out. Now you have people from the city of Perry got them cards, and they come to our dump site. We get a world of stuff at Carlson Cemetery site, my site, that comes from the city of Perry. And people say, oh, there's not that much. I have seen trailer loads after trailer loads of stuff come to that dump. I parked down the street because I knew the contractor, the fellow that was doing it for a living, he was hauling trailer loads of stuff out of the city. I parked down the street and followed him back. Within 200 yards of this office right here, he was cutting a big tree down over here in the lady's yard. And I sat up here all the time, watched him. I walked down the street, watched, and they got it loaded again. And when he left, he went straight back to Carlton Cemetery and dumped all that tree stuff in the dump site. You know, so we get a lot of stuff out of the city. And we've got to get a handle on glass too. We've got to do away with them cars and have stickers on people's trucks and cars where when that attendant he sees that sticker, if they don't have a sticker, he has to tell them to hit the road or go get them a sticker if they're qualified to have a sticker.
There should be a signage up there that says, no sticker, no service.
There is a sign there that says, you know, you're supposed to have a sticker or a card, but the card is too easy to pass out. I mean, we've got to go to nothing but a sticker, and it needs to be on your car, or you can't use them. That's just the bottom line.
Mr. Chair. It doesn't matter if you got 10 stickers on your car, or if you hand them 10 stickers, if that roll-off attendant allows them to dump, a sticker and a card is not gonna help.
He could write that tag number down on somebody that he wouldn't want to argue with the man over a sticker. But if he went in there without a sticker, he could write that tag number down and we could let Wayne Page handle that part of it.
I think
And that's the bottom line.
it seems like to be a roll-off attendant's job is to say, sir, you cannot dump this here. Now, if they're threatened, I would say let them dump, but he can take that tag number and he can call the sheriff. But first of all, somebody's got to say, you can't dump that here when that's not being done. Many times they're not being, I went to roll-offs myself just to prove a point from what you people have called me. Never asked for a sticker. Never asked for anything. And people had said, if you go there, you don't have to. Sure as the world. That's the way it was. So it's not the sticker problem. It's a management problem.
Well, I don't know whose problem it is. I know we, Taylor County expect Cadillac service. Anything you load on your truck and carry it to the landfill or to the roll-off site, you can get rid of it. That is a Cadillac, I'm telling you. The neighboring counties do not allow that. All they allow is a few bags and maybe a washing machine every now and then. Here in Taylor County, that chicken out there talking about, you go down there and unload. You got that sticker. And I can tell you something else. If I was a roll-off attendant, he'd come in there with that, with a trailer load, if he was a man up to load a trailer load, he was man up to whip you almost. Hey, we might well fight. You don't tell Taylor County people what they can't do, not much. Now, we have said that. The one you got your, okay, we're going down to number 14.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard that you have passed a motion to set the new assessment for 178.
Can you come up here? I cannot hear you. I'm so sorry.
Okay, Elizabeth Moon, 156 North Allison Road, Perry, Florida. I've heard you pass a motion to reassess residents at 178. Is that whatever you do?
Yeah.
You do not address hunt camps.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be done.
Hunt camps are non-residential. If you assess them as residential, you're in violation of chapter 159 of the Florida Codes governing the hunt camps. So you need to take a look at the assessment of the violation of Florida statutes.
You got time to look at it. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, but we need to move on. But go ahead, I'll let you do it. Go ahead.
I know I got my RV sites to use if I got older and I needed some additional income. I've been told I can disconnect those or do something with them to avoid the charges. But is anybody gonna reimburse me for all the money it costs to put in that electric sewage and water that I put in? I'm hoping to have that sometime in the future. That is my question. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
You you all have decided to raise this, but yet none of you are talking about solving the problems that caused the problem to begin with. They're all avoiding that.
Okay, do you really know the cause?
Excuse me?
Do you know the cause?
I couldn't understand you.
I said, do you know the cause of the problem?
Well, why can't we try to figure that out? Well, they can tell you.
We got an answer to the problem. It's got to be enforced strictly.
Well, yes.
Enforced. You got to, and if you hire somebody to stand there and enforce that, it's gonna cost more money. And that's the reason we can't just pull that money out of the hat like a rabbit. We got to have the cash to pay the people to enforce it. I'm all for enforcing. I've been all for enforcing for years. But we have not got to that point, but we just can get to that point for I'm concerned.
I would hope to, because I'm telling you, even talking to these people that work at it, they don't want to argue with these people that are literally just throwing the trash wherever they choose to, or they're bringing anything they want in there. You know, of course we can bring everything we want, but you got to put it in the right place. There's those that they are not going to do that. And the person that's working there, you know, they don't feel strong enough to argue with them or put up a fight with them to put it where it belongs.
You know they're not.
Yeah.
Them 75-year-old men that's sick.
Oh, I know that.
They're not able to do that.
Right.
And we don't pay enough money. There's not enough money in the coffers.
Yes.
To pay them a decent wage. Pay them insurance and a good wage, you know that's not there.
No. So our problems will still be there.
I tell you what, if we go ahead and raise it to $210 and above, we can do it. There'll be money to do it.
I'd be ultimately surprised.
We're the cheapest county in North Florida for garbage
Let
pickup.
other folks speak again, I want to speak again. Mr. Thomas, you said that you wouldn't, if somebody just brought a board up there, just 8 foot long, you know, well, what if it was 10 foot? That's just 2 foot more. Well, what if it was 11 foot? Well, you talk about these people gonna mess with these roll-off attendants. That is the way some cultures do things.
That's right.
But the culture that I was raised in does not do that. We don't take violence like that. And when people do that, you know where they wind up? They wind up in that prison we got out of Johnson. So that's what your argument don't buy nothing.
Well, it's not really an argument, Raul, it was just a statement. And some people work down there, they feel threatened. I don't
If
feel.
they are 75 years old, they don't need to be roll-off attendants if they can't pass a physical examination.
You're right about that. But we still have openings and we can't get them filled.
Well, you know where the buck stops? It stops with that commission right up there. You got staff that's up under you, and if you don't make sure they're doing their job, you know who's not gonna be doing their job? That roll-off attendant. So don't blame nobody but yourself.
Yeah.
You talk about someone is of a certain age and they're not able to do the job. Then we need people that are able to do the job.
That's true.
That's just like me. If I were to go and apply to be a pipe fitter, I mean, I'm not qualified. I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
Would they hire me anyway? Or if they hired me and saw that I couldn't do the job, would they keep me? No. We need people that can do the job if they're unable, whatever age they are. If they're 80 or if they're 40 and they're not able to do the job, then we need to get people that can. Yeah, it's hard to get help, but you can't keep on letting people get by with not doing the job they were hired to do.
Okay. I understand that. Okay. So we'll be going to number 14.
Did you vote?
Yeah, we voted already.
I missed it. Yeah.
We go to 14, the board to receive bid for the sale of the county-owned property at Keaton Beach. Block A, Beach Unit 1, set for this date at 6:05 PM or as soon thereafter as possible.
I do it with them. I do it.
We knew not to come.
Here?
So there's two bids on those, on this piece of property. This is the piece that can be built, we can construct on. So that's, Block A at Keaton Beach, Unit 1. And the first bid is from HB Tootin Jr. and L. Thomas, Perry, Florida. And the bid is $85,100.
And who's that bid from?
HB Tootin Jr. and L. Thomas. So the second bid is from John B. Webb II and Jen R. Webb. Their bid is $99,500.
Okay. You heard those two bids? Both of those bids came in above, huh? What those lots was really appraised for.
No, sir.
What's the appraised price?
Was it 158
145, I believe.
for the larger lot? I'm sorry, I've lost track of it,
I think it's
145.
58 for the smaller and 145, if I remember correctly, for this particular one.
This particular one was 145. Okay. What do I hear?
I'd like to say one thing. I'd love to see somebody own that lot and build a house on it and pay taxes. I'd love to see somebody enjoy that lot on the canal down at that beach and be able to do something that would be our people to build a house, hire plumbers, hire roofers, hire electricians. I mean, I'd love to see something happen. I'm in favor of accepting the high bid myself.
Okay.
We have someone that wants to speak.
My name is John B. Webb. I live at 20545 Marina Road. And the property that was adjoining me is what I bid on, and that was what I planned to do. And,
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
I second what Commissioner Moody, that I'd like to see someone own that property. There's absolutely no use county can get out of that piece of property. So, I'd be in favor of accepting the highest bid.
I'm opposed, because, that property was appraised. We paid for an appraisal. The appraisal came back at $145,000. That's taxpayers' property. We all own that. And there's no rush to sell that property, no real rhyme or reason. The taxes on every year is not very much that we would get from that, but yet we're gonna be selling taxpayer-owned property for less than the appraised value, so, and I appreciate if you do
I've
get
been
it.
mowing it for 2 years and I ain't never been paid a dime.
That's right, if you, it should be left the way
I'm
it
trying
is.
to keep it up because it is right next door to me.
You've
I wanna
been,
keep it looking good.
you've been using it, right?
No.
No, okay, but still,
No, I was sold that property under a false pretense, and I didn't file a lawsuit, and I haven't yet, and I've never sued anybody. Because I'm kind of upset about it, because I was lied to when I bought that property. And now all this come about 3 days after I moved in, and I'm a full-time resident here. And, I've been a building contractor for over 30 years. And, you know, I'm here to stay, nothing but make improvements, and, that was my plan, and I mean, we had done, me and my wife, or she has mostly, has Paul been up here every meeting about that property, trying to preserve it, do something with it, to keep somebody from being right on top of me. You know, with the boundaries, it's only like 29 foot in the front of that property. And I mean, we just couldn't understand it, you know. I'm trying to get out of debt, but I will spend $100,000 to get it.
yeah,
Because it keeps on going. I mean, y'all keep wanting to auction it off, but you know, you get a bid, you want to set it, and then you say, oh, you take this, and you don't get no bids, and then you finally get good bids, and now you still want to set it. So I don't understand it. You know.
oh, the only thing that I'm saying, sir, is that there was really no reason to put the thing up for sale in the first place, okay? And if you get it, and that's good, I'm glad you're gonna improve it. But my whole, thing is that it's county-owned property, and I don't think that, especially we should be selling it for less than the appraised value. That's where I'm at.
Commissioner Newman?
You know, I appreciate the folks that did bid and understand this appraisal, and I still believe there's potential there for public use, so I will be opposed to this budget.
Who is that up to me? Top rate?
I suppose so.
I suppose. I appreciate your wife coming up here and arguing, and I think she had a right to. Now, eventually, somebody did want to use it and wanted to buy it, and this is our chance to do it. Now, as far as getting stuff at appraised value, we didn't do it all the time. We have something appraised, and Mr. Bishop and whoever else will go down there and argue with them and negotiate with them. They always come under. It's a good thing for you to have.
Yes, sir.
Since it's next to you.
Yes, sir.
And I believe maybe you need to have it.
I'm gonna take care of it.
Okay. Did I get a motion? Did I get a motion?
Got a motion.
Did I get a second? Second. I get a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
No for me.
Motion.
3-2. You got it, Mr. Webb.
Appreciate it.
All right. We go to item number 15. Board to accept and open bids on the county-owned property located on Marina Drive in Keaton Beach as agended by the county administrator.
This is for the smaller of the two lots, and because of the size and shape of that lot, we were able to offer it to the adjoining property owner, and he has submitted a bid for it. If the board accepts the bid, he has stated that we did not put terms in the letter, but he stated he could pay for it within 10 business days.
Okay, so you got a bid? You have a bid?
Yeah, so we have a bid from Cynthia Collins that was turned into LaWanda, who is the only one because they are the adjacent landowner. The only adjacent.
And what's the appraised value of this piece?
I believe that one is $58,000.
58.
And Cynthia A. Collins' proposal or bid is an offer of $20,000.
Was that bid run in the paper too?
No,
It
sir.
wasn't advertised?
No,
Because
because
it says adjoining and adjacent homeowners had the right to bid on it. I never got a right to bid on that piece of property. Because I might would have bought it too.
Well, from what I understand, there was only one adjacent property owner, and that was the Collins. Okay, because your property is not adjoining that lot.
It's adjacent. It says adjacent and adjoining.
I believe there's public right-of-way between your property,
The highway.
right? There's your property, there's a county lot, then there's a road, and then there's the Collins piece.
Well, thank y'all for my part. I'm good.
What do I get? We want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, on this property here, looking at the numbers, I mean, we just.
That's $30,000.
We just let.
Nothing can be built on that lot, really.
We just let this one go for roughly 31% less than the appraised value. I think this one here is around 33, 34. Can't really build anything on the property. I'm okay to move forward to sell it.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll vote to move forward with it, get rid of it.
All right, motion, second. All in favor, saying aye?
Wait, who got the motion from? I'll make a motion to sell it.
I'll say.
Commissioner England, second.
All right.
That's a no for me.
Okay.
For
All
the
in
same
favor?
reason that, I don't think we should be selling taxpayer property for less than the appraised value.
Commissioner Newman? Yes. All right.
So we have the vote, so it's 3-2, it passes 3-2.
The board to receive bids for the leasing of 296 plus acres for the harvesting of saw palmetto berries in the Taylor County. Set for this date, 6:05 PM or as soon after as possible.
We don't have any bids.
No bid. All right. So that will say it is, what do we do?
I will say, I did talk to probably one of the guys that have done it in the past, and biggest reason he didn't really put anything on it, he may have some information on this, is because of the EU or something, they had to go on some kind of electronic, submit some kind of documents electronic. He just said he just wasn't doing it. He said he picked berries in other counties that didn't.
Probably the permitting process.
He didn't have to go through all that process, and it made it much easier to do business. So he opted to not even.
We have to pull a permit, and then the harvesters have to pull a permit as well.
Okay. Since there's no bid, there's no more conversation on that. Hospital items. The one, hospital items. Public questions for Walter Rowell to appear to discuss solid waste.
15 minutes, just, if you can get rid of it, Thomas, you don't scratch that old bald head like that.
Go ahead, Walter.
There's a whole lot going on, that sales tax issue, that sounds like the best thing in the world that I've heard of, paying for all of this, because sales tax is split up between the city and the county, so you have to pay all that MSTU with the garbage with the sales tax going to, but you choose to do something else with it. The sales tax was first issued in Taylor County to build a jail. We had a referendum to do it. We asked the people, let the people vote on it. But in that referendum, we put a sunset clause in it. Said that when that jail was paid for, we would end that sales tax. I wasn't on the commission when it was paid for. But it wasn't paid for. The sales tax continued to be dumped into the county budget instead of paying off. Now, we knew, we had a consultant come in, and we knew that if we got that sales tax, and built that jail first, if we was the first one to build a jail, we could rent the beds out and probably pay for that jail. Well, that happened.
But the money that went, instead of it going to pay for the jail, it went into the county's budget. And that sales tax never sunsetted. It just went right on. The next it came the hospital, and now I don't know what y'all use for capital improvements, I guess, whatever the sales tax is for. All that I'm telling you is, you raised it, and I knew you was going to, and I don't blame you. I mean, you had to. But it won't never go down. Taxes never go down, assessments never go down, unless you change. You can change that. And even though we'll go out of here tonight and it'll probably be all forgot about, Jamie will keep going to the landfill and doing whatever Frank Robbie tells him to do. Because Frank runs it. You know, Frank, I was associated with Frank when we started the landfill. He told me he used to go around and set the Dixie County landfill on fire just so he could write them up. Because see, he worked with DER then. Just so he could write them up and make them have to do something different. He wrote the law or the rule that said you had to line the landfill. But the landfill is a good thing. It always has been in Taylor County. Most people don't even know where it's at, don't even know it exists. Kids, these hadn't been raised in 12, 14 years. I don't know just how long it's been since they were raised. You get a rebate back from it, but you don't really get a rebate back. Don't let nobody fool you, Jamie. You're not getting a rebate. You know what you're getting back? Overpayment. When you pay your taxes every month, or every week, when they take your taxes out of your check, if you overpay the IRS at the end of the year and get some back, you say they done me a favor? No, they didn't do you a favor. You just got back what you overpaid. And there's reasons why there was an overpayment there, and I won't go into that. But there was justification for it when it started. Somebody mentioned the cost equalization element today. Why are we still paying Dixie County? Well, you don't see me up here much. But I always believe that if a person was doing their job, you ought to leave them alone. Nobody knows more about what's going on in this county than you do. But the year that I got defeated was the year that the landfill started getting set up and put into place. When we started with the landfill, there was 13 counties. We went into Gainesville and started having meetings. Peter Hahn was our engineer, and Nolan Blue. And the state said, you've got to start lining the landfill. Well, first they said we could use composite liners. Clay, you know. So that's what Peter Hahn was designing, a landfill with a clay liner in it. So I've done some of Frank Robbie's stuff. I sent Richard Sheffield up there on a piece of property that I had in Madison County, and over to Preston Sheffield's property over there, and a couple more properties, and got him to do some boring to see if we could find clay suitable for a composite landfill. For more than one reason. One, if we had to haul it in here instead of putting a synthetic liner in there, but hopefully we could get Madison County to go in with us and develop a landfill together. We didn't know what to do with garbage. Really, we didn't have a clue. We had these holes all around here, and we put garbage in, and we didn't know. So I asked the Water Management District not me, the board asked the Water Management District to help us determine where to put a landfill. Well, they said, we ain't got no money, no place to do that. So I talked to Bill Grant, he was the state representative at the time, and Bill said, I ain't got no place to put the money. But I happened to have somebody that I knew real close who was chairman of the Water Management District. It was my oldest brother. I was talking to him about it. He told me, he said, well, you know, Senator Kirkpatrick's got some money in the Water Management District's budget for it. So I talked to Bill Grant. The board talked to Bill Grant. I didn't do that. The board talked to Bill Grant, and they went and put $250,000. And then us go on a study that was being done in Gainesville by 13 counties. Y'all probably don't want to do this, but it might help you somewhere along. So the 13 counties met over there, and I'm up here on my soapbox, and there was a commissioner about this tall from Union County. And there was another one about this tall from Union County. He was a little fella, he walked around. He got up, he said, I'm gonna get on my soapbox. Well, that's where I am right now, on the soapbox. But anyway, that 13 county effort busted up. Alachua County and some of the other counties joined together. New River, Union County, they went over there and built a landfill in Rayford. The Rayford prison side over there. And then there was 8 counties. The 8 counties all went together and we went out for bids. And BFI got the bid for $36 a ton. And they was gonna build a landfill over between Buckville and Madison, where we was gonna put the landfill at. And Waste Management got involved in it, and they talked Suwannee County into pulling out, so Suwannee County and Columbia County, and they pulled out, so wound up, there was 4 counties. This had an end to it. But the 4 counties was the original interlocal agreement that called for cost equalization. You see, it wasn't practical. A small county couldn't haul garbage all the way to Alachua County. So when they did that, they said, you've got to put a cost equalization element in there so that the small counties can contribute. And that's what they said was the best thing, to have one landfill. So, that cost equalization element fell down all the way down to us. I stood on the steps of that courthouse right over there before I got defeated and talked to Ed Osteen. He was commissioner out of Dixie County. He said, we're gonna pull that cost equalization out of this thing before we get done with it. That's why you need to stay. Every one of you need to stay in office and you need to do your job as long as you can. I believe the incumbents need to be there. Anyway, your landfill is an asset to the county. Most of the people don't even know that it exists. But your opportunity is in transportation. I know diesel fuel went up. I mean, I know it's went up. I drive a diesel truck. And it's right at $5 a gallon. Gasoline's come down, but diesel hasn't. The reason for inflation is not gas, it's diesel, because everything's hauled for diesel. But it hadn't always been that way. 2 years ago, it was $1.70 a gallon. And using the whole then. Right? So now it's $5 a gallon, and you sure enough gonna be in the hole because your problem is transportation. And your average, I don't know what your average load is, Gary, and I'm not faulting you, really I ain't, because I think you're doing the best you can with what you got to work with. But if you don't fill those cans up and have a maximum load, your cost per ton mile is going to eat you up. There's a lot of loads, and I've been told, and I've talked to probably some disgruntled employees, I don't know, I've been told that y'all got a schedule. That they are told they're to go to this roll-off site, pick up that dumpster, and take it to the landfill, don't care what's in it. Well, if that's true, they're going out there and getting the empty dumpster sometimes and hauling it to the landfill because nobody is being responsible for it. You ought to hire people as best you can that's going to do their job. And the best place that you can put some money is in the roll-off sites. We get attendants that will do their job. And I don't agree with you one at all. I don't believe that nobody is going to hurt one of them roll-off attendants. They may talk and fuss just like I do. I've never been a politician, and I talk, my voice and demeanor is not good for talking like this, but
the people that's gonna do that, they get aggravated when they pull up there. And start with, they don't want to mess with it. It stinks, it's nasty. One thing that you got right, what's that? One thing that you got right, we got the Cadillac service. But you know, Thomas, everybody didn't retire from Buckeye. Everybody don't drive a Cadillac. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time. And if things going like we are right now, I just plead with you to go back and have those workshops and work with your staff. And when they come to you and recommend that certain things be done that will help make things better, go for it. And if it don't work, call your manager and say, hey, you had this plan and it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Hold them accountable. I can't hold y'all accountable. They done away with single member districts they done away with countywide elections after my first election. So we're all single member districts now. But you still represent every one of us. I know you live in the city, Thomas.
Yeah.
I know you was on the city council, and I know you're gonna favor city residents, and I know that you're gonna want them city residents to be able to dump in them county dumpsters.
No.
If you'll put it on.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I'll take charge, but that's not me.
If you put it on sales tax, you won't have to worry about it. Everybody would be paying, that's the other thing. I'm here on this court, special assessment, remember it. The reason that the special assessment was put in was they said that Secretary of DER and said you have to make people aware of what it costs to dispose of garbage. So
I really got a history lesson from you, Walter. That's all I'm saying. But now, as far as favoring the city resident over county resident, that's not me. You know better than that.
Well, you know better than the fact that both them, these good people in Taylor County.
They won't fight him, but they have him scared to death.
You don't need to be there.
Okay.
You don't need to be there. Honor your own ordinance. Hire people capable of doing the job. Pay whatever it takes to get those people and raise my taxes. And you won't hear nothing out of it.
Okay. All right.
One more, please, about the solid waste thing. I won't waste y'all's time this evening about the Hampton Springs. It's really hard to work, and I'm not speaking for myself, but other people possibly. I do see where there's been maybe some lackadaisical approaches to their job, but I personally have worked at the roll-off site. Okay, so number one, it is kind of hard to make ends meet when it's minimum wage and when you're only getting on a call-in basis, okay? So does that take away from me trying hard to do my job? No, because that's just who I am, okay? But for somebody to stand here that doesn't, I don't know when the last time these people have been to the roll-off site or how many times they've had seen someone with a six-foot object sticking out, so I can't speak for their experiences. Other than I personally know that some of these people that work out here, they try their level best to do their job every day, best they can. But it's really hard for me to sit here, even though I came here with a different subject on the agenda, it's hard for me to sit here and listen to someone slander people who, try to go out and try to do a good, honest day's work.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. All right. Okay. County staff.
I'll be speaking for Kenneth Dudley tonight. He had a loss in his family and was unable to attend. Item 18 is the board to review, consider approval and award of the contract for the Taylor County closed landfill mowing and fertilizing services. Hank Evans, Scott Knight, and Kenneth Dudley were on the bid committee, and they are recommending A&R Lease Services LLC as the lowest responsive bidder.
Okay. Well, we need a motion second to receive this?
Yes, sir.
Second. Second, all in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Go ahead. 19.
Item 19 is to consider approval of a local agency program agreement to construct a sidewalk along First Avenue in Steinhatchee, and to consider adoption of a resolution authorizing the chairperson to accept such agreement on behalf of the commission. This is the sidewalk, to construct a sidewalk from the west end of Steinhatchee near the Sunset Place condos eastward to the intersection of First Avenue and Riverside Drive.
Said resolution. Read that by title long.
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor, saying aye?
I want the title only. First Avenue sidewalk, signature authorization. That's the title, y'all.
We also, I believe, need a motion and approval for the agreement as well.
Motion.
Motion is second, all in favor, saying aye? Go ahead.
We need, so that was for the agreement. We also need a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Motion second, all in favor, saying aye? Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir. It's in your packet, there's a letter, to LaWanda, things that I received from attorney, Angela Ball. And essentially, her letter to me says that, and she came to me and mentioned it to me on August the 18th, that she showed me the map documents in the property appraiser's office. There's apparently an error in the description which authorized when the property was developed. There was an error in the description. And in order to get the approval for the development, the developers agreed to grant the county a triangular portion of the property for a helipad. And in creating that, the 25-foot roadway was inadvertently included in the description to the county. In other words, it was a mistake, and we got some property that, or y'all got, or the county got some property that you weren't supposed to. And in order to correct that error, she asked me to present to your board that y'all could quit claim it to the people who are purchasing property, Dennis and Barbara McLean. In other words, there was an error in the description, and attached in there's a
25 foot by 600 feet.
Yeah, and it's shown in that 25-foot strip, which is 25 feet by, I think, 660 or something. Yeah, 25 feet by 660.
Look at this, has to be a legitimate error, I guess?
Yeah, yes, sir.
I make a motion to quit claim it to them.
Motion second, all in favor, saying aye? Aye. Okay. Go to county administrative items.
Item 21 is to request approval of a lease agreement for office space for the Guardian Ad Litem program. Their present lease ends on September 30th, the end of this month, and there are blanks in the commercial lease, but the intent was that it be a 12-month lease, and the board can renew if acceptable to both parties year by year. Which I would recommend because there is a substantial increase from $350 a month to $1,000 a month. It is included in the 22-23 fiscal year budget, but I don't know about subsequent years. So if you determine this lease would be 10/1 to 9/30, it is funded, and then I would say midway into the year, we need to negotiate with the property owner and speak with the court system to see if they are going to fund, if this will be funded within their budget without an increase.
I noticed it's $350 they're paying now, and they want to move it.
To $1,000 a month. This
Is that
is,
the same place or a larger place?
no, it's a larger place.
Is it needed?
According to them, it's just where they need it, because not only for the office space, but for the storage space.
How long have we known about this?
I believe they started talking to me in the summer, and said there were concerns about the space that they're in now.
Okay. So, it would have been nice to have known about that, if you would have shared that with us, especially when there's gonna be such a substantial increase. Maybe perhaps we could have helped them find something else. Well, but I wanna say that I do support this program. They are very, very good at what they do.
There won't be an increase in our budget. It's funded within their budget.
So does that cost us anything?
Our budget for this program is the same. There will not be an increase for this next fiscal year. They can fund the difference within their own budget.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
that makes a difference then.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve, second motion.
Motion second, all in favor saying aye. Go ahead.
Item number 22, we received a call and a letter from Jody Tillman with Digman Technical College requesting the use of 4 non-running ambulances for their diesel mechanic program. And she stated to me that as long as if we need them back in 3 months, that they'll bring them back. If we need them back in 6 months, they'll bring them back at that time. They can take them apart and put them back together just the way they received them. They'll be responsible for transportation to the college. What I would recommend is letting them take the ambulances and work on them. And then we are working on having an auction for numerous county vehicles. Then at that time, we can ask them if we can have the ambulances back. Or they can give us a cost to repair the ambulances, and we can consider it at that time.
Is this something that the hospital would be interested in? Is if these were fixed up to use those for transfers?
I mean, I can certainly reach out to them and ask them.
Non-emergency transfers is what I'm talking about.
I'm not sure because the mileage is so high on them. So the vehicles that were in the best shape were utilized by county departments. I would say these are what we have left. But I mean, that's certainly something we can reach out to them and ask them.
I make a motion that we allow them to,
I'll
look at the repair, and if we want to get quotes on, the cost, we can consider that, but I'm certainly in support of the Big Bend Technical College, so if this will help their program, I'm all in.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor saying aye. Okay. What you got next?
So I just wanted to remind the board that we have 2 special meetings for the budget, one on the 19th.
September?
One on September 12th at 5:01 PM and one on September 19th at 5:01 PM. We have a regular workshop scheduled on the 27th at 6 PM. And I would like some dates, if y'all, to consider for the workshops dedicated to solid waste.
Let's just see if everybody's interested in that workshop.
When we need to consider now on next week?
Let's just decide now if everybody wants to do it.
Okay.
I know I'm interested, but I don't know about the other 4.
I'm in.
All right.
You interested?
Yeah, I mean, could we do that after the special meeting, follow the special meeting with workshops, since everybody already be attended?
On the 12th or the 19th?
Yes, ma'am, I'd start for the 12th and the 19th if necessary. Unless somebody else is opposed.
I need to look at my calendar. I don't have it with me for the 12th. If I don't have a conflict, that's fine with me.
So to follow the special meeting.
If you just send me an email tomorrow, just so I don't forget to look.
And that's all I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Comment from and concern from the public on non-agenda items. Is there anyone in the public? Comments? Oh.
Jim Gilbert from Steinhatchee. Well, I was hoping a little bit more of an audience. I got these pictures of the one, do you want to hand them to the commissioners, or can I? Okay. What it is, you're gonna have to pass it down. Those are something about the boat ramp. And then this is something about the new marina, as far as the traffic in front of it. And here is that. You guys can share that with me a moment.
Can I have a copy though?
Yes, well, I did, the copies are all yours to have, I just didn't have enough of them.
This is a different event.
But I did have a large one that kind of says a lot. What we've got here, listen, hindsight's always 20/20. Probably never should we have built that new marina where we built it, in hindsight, okay?
You mean the county?
Yeah, the county should probably have never allowed that new marina to be built on the busiest stretch of road we have in our county.
They just had a soft opening?
Yes, the one we gave it temporary occupancy to. The one that, if you look at the paper there, by the way, that sign of that pedestrian sign just got hit yesterday. It's all bent over. A vehicle went by, caught that sign. If you guys are looking at those particular pictures, you can see how many more signs can you put up that never were sanctioned by the engineer. Those were all put in supposedly without the engineer's approval. The crosswalk was painted, looked like some kid went out there and drew some lines on the pavement. They're stopping traffic on our main road. And they had an event this weekend, had a boat show. And I'm not against having the events, but they took over the entire right-of-way, and you can see pictures there, 12 inches away from the pavement where you drive on that highway. You can't do that. I got a mini storage outside of town. Does that mean I can put up 2 stop signs coming and going so that people driving out of my driveway at my mini storage now can dump onto Beach Road, 361, and have traffic stop because I just put a sign up? Listen, it's not the folks, it's no secret that the folks at the marina do the project, and they built a beautiful marina. You always give, somebody does a good job, you always count on it. But if they're gonna refuse to do that road improvement, you know, the engineer wanted islands in the road, wanted the road widened. And they said no, basically. We're gonna have to fight them for it. How's this gonna go? That you can just, on a county right-of-way, by the way, there was an accident 2 weeks ago where a guy took out that sign that says, stop here, and has the pedestrian picture, took out that and 2 golf carts. You can't walk out of a bar, full-blown bar now. Okay, walk out of a county right-of-way, 17 inches from the step of the building, because we gave them a 17-inch setback. Everybody else has 30 feet, right? 35 feet, that's the law. We gave them 17 inches. Of course, that was a battle we had 3 years ago. Well, now we got it. And if you look at that picture, I really want you to see this one, Commissioner. This is really says a lot. As far as just how it was, and you can pass it down. But that's the sign that just got taken out yesterday. This sign was taken out 2 weeks ago. Now, and then the other picture showed the vehicles backed up to the road. We've got an ordinance, I'm sure. We've got to have, we want to work with these folks. These are great people, a lot of good things that they've done. But we're going to have these fishing tournaments every week. Are we just going to allow people to park right up to the edge of the highway on county right-of-way, do consumption, I'm a beer drinker, okay, but bottom line is, you can't put those signs up that close to our busiest stretch of road in Steinhatchee.
Is that a liability issue?
Okay, I'll tell you this, that, the engineer has not approved a crosswalk, what they're planning to do. There's a fight over that, and Kenneth is not going to budge.
Yeah, and I appreciate, listen, I have utmost respect for Mr. Douglas. We are blessed. We got a guy with that kind of stamina. He's up against, but he's been told to back off by the big guys, not by you commissioners. I'm talking about those folks, and they put that
Can't
cross
tell
line.
them to back off, man.
I know that, but they painted they painted some white lines
They
across the
all they
road.
want to, but he ain't gonna.
But we didn't enforce it. We let that happen. It's been like that since college season. And they finally got the vote, we all knew it was coming, but they needed to get a permit, right, Lorna? Didn't they need to get an event permit to be able to sell boats? That one picture shows, I don't even have the airboats. They had 8 airboats, brand new airboats for sale on county land. So can I open a used car lot on the county right of way? If I can, then it's gonna change the perspective the way everybody does business in Steinhatchee. There's my issue. They're selling boats, okay? In fact, there's one boat there, I should have done a better job with some of the picture taking. But it was quite a mess, it was quite a thing. Everybody's having a good time, but there has to be some orders there. And by the way, Facebook was loaded up. This is not just Jim Zerber. I wish more people, you know, and I do have a video that someone just sent me that the 18-wheeler, 16-wheeler pulled up in front of the place today. They waited 5 minutes because they couldn't see traffic coming the other way while they dropped the tailgate on the 16-wheeler and are unloading, stopped the big truck right in the middle of that highway, right there down for Royce, and unloaded it for the supplies. We can't just stop a semi-trailer in the middle of the road. Okay, they need to get their stuff, right? But across the street, that's probably where they need to take it. And also, how are we using county right-of-way for the main parking for their business? I thought that when Jody and Devane, I remember he had that, tried to open that bar up there at Hodges Park there, remember? He didn't have enough parking. He wanted to use county park parking to cover the amount of parking he needed, but he couldn't do that. Okay, so these people are using county right-of-way as their designated parking spots. They've even got handicapped on the county right-of-way as the designated, okay? Anyways, it's just time we're gonna have to pay attention to what's going on down there. We're gonna have fishing tournaments. The marina hasn't got its full-blown occupational license yet, but you can't allow people just to say, I'm not gonna do it. Sends a really bad message. And we're growing. Remember the mayor of Destin, Florida was here last year for a fishing seminar. He told Michael, he said, and I've been seeing Hatchie, this is my 3rd trip. And there was enough years in between, and now the new marina was being built. He says, I can tell you this is the mayor of Destin, Taylor County, Steinhatchee especially, needs to figure out what they want this place to look like. Just like the RV density. We didn't count on RVs. I mean, we are the RV capital. There ain't no doubt about it. Now we've got solid waste issues, but what are we gonna do about fire? We've got, if somebody's got 4 RVs and you have a fire, like Mr. Dent was saying, the fire truck's not gonna come because you're not paying county assessment or property taxes. No, they're gonna come. So we got a lot of growing pains, but what's happening in front of that marina is an issue. And then one is the boat ramp. People park, Luana, this is one probably for staff too. People park their boat trailers sticking out into the highway there. When the police officers see it and it's blatant, but in that particular picture, I was there, I caught the boat trailer, you can see it was a foot out, and traffic mirrored out, you know, across the road. So that was a bad design as far as the length of the trailers being allowed. We needed a little wider spot that they couldn't hang out. Right now, they're legal to park right up to the white line along the shoulder. It's just very dangerous.
So Jim, do you want to agenda this for a meeting so something, action could be taken, or?
I'm gonna think about where we go from this. I was hoping maybe word of mouth. There's a group of folks that are concerned, but Facebook really got turned up over what happened with the boat show. You've got it, it's great, it's a great time, good people, all that, but you've got to have permitting. You can't use county right-of-way to sell, cars and boats, and you just can't do that. Not in the way they've done it. And we are going to have these fishing tournaments. And I meant that maybe it was the wrong place to put the marina to begin with, because they didn't have enough property to build the marina, really. But I was giving them those huge variances. Okay? Now, if they widen the road and do everything that Kenneth Dudley wants, then we'll see how it works then. But right now, they're refusing to do that.
I don't believe that's accurate. I think we're still working with them.
They're open for
because
business,
they're-
so.
Yeah, and that's why they have a temporary CO. So we're still working with them as far as the safety improvements. And isn't that correct, Conrad?
Of
Right.
course, talking to Kenneth about it.
Yes.
Well, the next step is right, you just don't allow them to conduct business at all if they tell me enough time goes by. 6 months from now, if we're still there and it's still like this, and there's still painted lines for a crosswalk.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have Kenneth here. I wish we had, but, he couldn't be here because of the death in his family. So.
Yeah.
But
Like
I
said,
believe there is a certain time frame for collecting data, and then Kenneth has to review that data.
The data's been collected, it
Right.
just hadn't been reviewed yet.
Yes, sir.
And that data is number of cars and.
Daily sales, yes.
Sales and so forth. So,
I guess, Mr. Bishop, my point with this is you being county attorney, can I go ahead and use county right away?
No.
Okay, then that's what the issue is here right now. We're selling boats, we're selling cars or whatever on the county right away. And to have and you could probably get a permit to use county right away, right? If you approach the county, possibly the commission could give,
good luck.
Well, the whole thing is that's my point, and nobody got cited, and the sheriff didn't come out and say, hey, you're in violation. And we gotta pay more attention, because everybody's talking about it. You gotta live down there and see that, and I know the number of people in this audience doesn't reflect how it's going, and I've always been kind of the mouthpiece, but people are asking why. How can they get away with that? I know the other issue is the state highway. We don't have control over that issue.
I would request that you give Kenneth a call next week.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Next week.
Yeah.
Not this week.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Chairperson?
Yes, sir.
I got something.
Go ahead.
On these two sales, I don't issue title insurance, but I'm sure if somebody's gonna pay $99,500, he's gonna want title insurance on the property, I would think. I would think. The Collins, I don't know, but I'm gonna write both of them, and say, if you want title insurance, we can certainly refer them to for Mr. Curtis, for that. I just wanted to let you know, if that's okay, that's what I was gonna do.
Okay. All right.
With regard to the sale.
Anything else?
Not for me, I kind of jumped up front of the commissioner, sorry about that, but I want to say it before I forgot it.
Okay, board information item.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Microphones.
So we have scheduled, I believe this week, Teresa, we have scheduled our consultant to come out and talk to us about a price for upgrading this week. They came out last week.
Because it was clear tonight, most people could not hear what was going on, and it's difficult for us to hear what they're saying back there, so, yeah. Us five commissioners, we have to work together. Okay, I'm gonna be here 4 more years unless I die. Jim, same thing for you. The rest of you, at least 2 more years.
6.
At least 2 more years. And, I don't appreciate being interrupted, and I've probably been guilty of that before too, and I'm trying hard not to interrupt, but nobody likes to be interrupted by an irate commissioner. And it doesn't look good to the public, and, you know, we really need to try to work together and, at least be courteous to each other. I don't care if we like each other when we walk out the door or not, doesn't matter to me. But while we sit here, we need to at least be civil to each other. That's all I have.
My brother did pass.
Say again?
My brother that had pancreatic cancer, he did pass.
Oh, I'm so
So
sorry.
very Friday morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, with that being said, anything else? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.